Welcome back to Broncos Beat. Alexis Perry here alongside Matt Boyer, James Palmer, and Cecil Lammey. You guys, last night we witnessed one of the best defensive minds in Vic Fangio up against one of the best offensive minds in Andy Reid. So as you watch the battle of the Brainiacs unfold on Sunday Night Football, what stood out to you about how Vic Fangio prepared and called his defense against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs?
It was nearly flawless in terms of that game plan against the Chiefs because you don't blitz Pat Mahomes all the time. You have to get pressure with 3 and 4 and then sprinkle some blitzes in here now and again. So if Vic Fangio was a chef, he created a fantastic formula, fantastic recipe last night and a feast for that Broncos defense. And it's mainly because he knows and he prepares better than any other team in the league for Pat Mahomes. We see it every time. Broncos don't win, but we've seen it every time that Vic Fangio knows how to get to Pat Mahomes without sending the house, because when you do that, he kills you. So you get pressure with 3 and 4, you blitz at certain times, certain moments, and Vic Fangio knew when those moments were.
Yeah, this was the second fewest points Patrick Mahomes has put up as a starter in the NFL in his career. I think we need to make a point of that at what Vic Fangio was able to do, specifically the red zone defense. Now, this team offensively, when they're on the field and you're between the 20s, is almost unguardable. When you have Tyreek Hill and you have Travis Kelce and you have field to work with, and you have obviously the best quarterback we may have ever seen when it's all said and done, it's impossible to really slow them down in the middle of the field. In the red zone, I thought Vic Fangio was brilliant in the way that they played down there. You do not see Andy Reid get to the 1 yard line multiple times and come away with a field goal. He was unbelievably complimentary of Vic Fangio after the game, and rightfully so. And Cecil's right. There are no moral victories in this. It gets kind of frustrating that he has a very good feel for covering and handling Patrick Mahomes, but when you continuously lose the game, it's got to be frustrating when you're doing this good of a coaching job on one side of the ball against the best in the league.
James, you mentioned it, stingy red zone defense. That's a calling card for Vic Fangio defensive-led teams. So I think it was incredibly symbolic for how the Broncos wanted to play. And we've seen this before. Cecil, to borrow, I know you're the pop culture guy, but to borrow a phrase from The Mandalorian, this is the way. This is the way that the Broncos want to go forward, winning games, playing very stingy red zone defense, possession football. We saw we've already talked about what they did on offense, but that front seven, and we'll get to Shelby Harris, I know, but man, he's a difference maker. When you can get interior pressure, that changes what this Broncos defense can do.
Well, let's get to Shelby Harris, Matt. He mentioned postgame just how excited he was to be out there after watching the last 4 weeks from the comfort of his couch. And there was absolutely no doubt the Broncos greatly missed him over the last month. He single-handedly saved 2 Chiefs touchdowns by batting the ball down, forcing a pair of field goals. Can you guys even put a price tag on Shelby Harris's hands?
I'll say it first off, I think Shelby Harris might be the best player in football that nobody outside of the city he plays in has ever heard of. I really think that is the case in the manner in which he plays. When you have, as we continue to stroke Vic Fangio in this segment about his defensive mind and how talented he is, he's seen everything. When he goes out and calls a player in Shelby Harris the best player he's ever seen at batting down passes at the line of scrimmage, Cecil, is a remarkable compliment from a guy who doesn't really give compliments and has seen a lot of football. Having him back and really that stretch that they missed him, he is a difference maker. And there are very few players in this league that can make a massive difference that you notice within a game from the interior portion of the defensive line. It's Chris Jones who played in this game. It's Aaron Donald. It's very few guys. And you can put Shelby Harris now on that list. And maybe we all need to find a way to get the rest of the country to understand that this guy is playing at such a high level.
And maybe get him to understand that with a big contract. I mean, it's not my money to spend, but if it was, I'd be making sure that Shelby Harris would stick around. And you have an emotional leader. We know the last time that they played the Chiefs, things got a little heated, shall we say. We don't need to get into that, because we want to talk about this game and what he did this time around. And it's all about fit in the NFL. It's a dirty secret, right? How do you fit? He fits so well with Vic Fangio. He is an emotional leader. That team responds to him. And that's the type of guy that, as you continue to build things with Vic Fangio going forward, 2021 and beyond, that's the type of guy you want to keep around.
Cecil, you mentioned it, fit. I think not only does Harris fit well with Vic Fangio, but defensive line coach Bill Kollar preaches batted balls and getting your hands up at the point of attack more so than a lot of defensive coaches in this league. And I think he really found, Shelby did, a kindred spirit in Kollar being able to, and I think they really, emphasize some of the things that Shelby does very, very well. So while yes, I think there's a lot of GMs and personnel people who watch that film and think, man, we really missed an opportunity to sign Shelby last offseason. I think the Broncos are very grateful and thankful that they have him on this roster, and hopefully they have him on this roster for years to come.
James, really quickly, what could the Broncos defense have done differently on that final drive that could have possibly impacted the outcome of the game?
I think Vic Fangio said it best, Alexis, that they needed a stop. And I think he also said they should have went for it on 4th and 3. But at the same time, on that final drive, like I said earlier, there's just, when you have all the field to work with and you have all the talent that the Chiefs have, I don't know what else they could have done to slow down Patrick Mahomes, because you have the ability of field on your side. I don't think there's any difference in how they could have called that final drive. They were just hoping to make sure that they could maybe get a stop. But I just think there's no stopping Patrick Mahomes in that ability where he doesn't try to score. He's just trying to move the football and eat the clock.